We are going to be very, very, very ambitious here. We're going to take our light chicken stock that we've reduced and make a velouté. We're going to turn that velouté into a sauce supreme. We're going to take that sauce supreme and turn it into Allemande. And then we're going to take sauce supreme and turn it into albufera as well. But before we get to those parts, we need to make a roux or a beurre beignet. This is flour, all-purpose flour, which is going to act as our hydrocolloid. A hydrocolloid is anything that thickens water. The most common one is flour. We've used arrowroot as well, that thickens water. Cornstarch, kuzu, we've used in our matignon. So when you hear the word hydrocolloid, don't be afraid, because it's just something that makes water thick. Okay? So we're going to make a classic roux, which is a bit different than a beurre beignet, but they do the same thing almost. In a classic roux, we're going to mix our equal amounts of butter and flour together, and then we're going to top it with our cartouche and bake it in the oven until it gets very dry. And the purpose of doing it, baking it in the oven to get it dry, is it cooks the flour. The more we bake it, or the drier that it becomes, the more we cook it in the oven at a very even temperature, the less flour flavor that we're going to have. It's a very easy thing to do. We'll just take our butter, add our flour, and just gently mix that until it's totally incorporated and smooth like a paste. When I was a young chef, we had roux, and we only used roux. We didn't use beurre beignet in that period of time. We'd bake our roux in large rondeaus in the oven for literally hours. We'd pull them out, and the chef would always say, "That's not dry enough. More, more, more." So we'd always have to bake them. And then when they get cold, they're very, very hard. You'd have to break it off and then add those to your stocks or your sauces to finish. So put a little cartouche on top, and then that'll go right in the oven. It's a low oven because we want it to cook nice and slowly. It's a small amount of roux. It'll probably take an hour before that really dries out and cooks that flour flavor out there, which is really what we're trying to achieve. Now we're going to make a beurre beignet, which is the same proportions of flour and butter, but one that we are cooking in the sauce, so we don't have to pre-cook it. It'll take a little longer for it to activate with the cooking of the liquid, but still will achieve the same results. So either by baking it in the oven and having that ahead of time, and a product that is shelf stable, by the way. It's a very good thing to remember, shelf stable. Where the butter and flour here is uncooked butter and flour, the flour. So it's not shelf stable. You can keep it in the refrigerator for some period of time, but you also have to cook it longer in your stock to make your sauce. We're just going to mix that together. We have our chicken stock here, starting to get to temperature. We're going to add some of our beurre beignet to it and continue whisking it until it totally incorporates. And we can be adjusting the degree of thickness that we want this velouté to be. We're going to be adding some other ingredients to it as we progress through our sauce making, which may thin it out or thicken it up. So we have a nice paste, as you can see. Okay, smooth. There's no lumps. No lumps of flour, no lumps of butter. So I'm going to go ahead and add about half of this to our chicken stock, which has just come to a simmer. I'm going to bring it back so it's a little closer to me. I'm not stretching. Adjust my flame. whisking till that flour and that butter disintegrate. Where the butter acts as a vehicle for you to be able to get it into a liquid. Obviously, if we just dump flour in there, it would thicken, but it'd have to be very lumpy. It's a trick to making great gravy. You can see the viscosity is starting to change. Certainly, the transparency is gone. It's more opaque. This is considered one of the original mother sauces in French cuisine, being one of the bases of French cuisine. And again, I want to make sure that I'm whisking that sufficiently. So this could be used as a sauce in and of itself, or you could add garnish to this and make it chicken soup, a thickened chicken soup, that is. And we want to let that cook. We want to remove as much flour flavor as possible, the difference between a beurre manier and a roux. At the same time, there's some impurities in the flour, so we want to continue to offset our pot from our flame, so any of the impurities will be driven to the one side and we can skim off. We see that very luxurious velvety texture, which is so indicative of a velouté. And we can make a velouté out of a brown chicken stock as well. We can make a fish velouté. So the velouté is stock with the addition of a roux or beurre manier to thicken it. So you can just use it just as it is, season it with salt, and it could become a beautiful sauce for poached chicken breast, for example. If you think about blanquette de veau, which is a very famous veal dish, the cuisson, or the cooking liquid from blanching the veal breast, is then cleaned by reduction and skimming, and then added, beurre manier or roux is added to it to thicken it. So it is in essence a veal velouté. That's the veal is then put back into it with garnishing, with the garnishment of mushrooms, and it's a veal blanquette. So it's a very versatile technique, very simple. Okay, just a wonderful texture. We're going to go ahead and bring in our first sauce, suprême. And sauce suprême is velouté with the addition of heavy cream. Escoffier, who was the great chef at the turn of the 20th century, codified French cuisine. So a lot of these sauces are the sauces that he actually defined for us to give us all of the different preparations, not just sauces, but technique as well. So to make us a sauce suprême, we would add just a little bit of cream to it, enriching it that much more. Of course, we're going to season this with salt as we move on, sometimes a little bit of lemon juice, because we like the way that acid picks up the flavor of things. And you could add a little bit of creme fraiche if you like. Again, expanding the pure definition of something is okay as long as you understand the fundamental of it. So where we understand that suprême is made with cream, if we want to add creme fraiche, which is made from cream, but it has that acid kick to it, as in sour cream, then it's okay. We can do that. So it's enriched with cream. And I'm going to go and also put a little bit of creme fraiche in there. And you see how white it got. In terms of use, they're pretty versatile. Sauce supreme, velouté can be used for any number of proteins. They can also be used for vegetables. This could be the base for a macaroni and cheese, for example, if you wanted to use it for macaroni and cheese. It can become a gratin, using it in different ways. So, potatoes. It's a very classic. Texture is very smooth and velvety, very rich, again, very luxurious in the way it feels. Okay, so there's a second sauce all made from our chicken stock. Chicken stock going to velouté, going to sauce supreme. Let's do an Allemand, which is also called a sauce parisienne, another one of our sauces from Escoffier. And this one is a very delicate sauce. It's going to be enriched with an egg yolk, making it that much more luxurious and that much richer. So what we want to do here is we want to temper our egg yolk with a little bit of velouté. And if we put this egg yolk in there in the hot sauce immediately, it would cook and curdle, or appear to curdle. By tempering it, we can raise the temperature of the egg yolk and also reduce the temperature of this portion of velouté before we add it to the quantity of sauce that we want to finish our egg yolk with. Remember, your egg yolk is going to also thicken your sauce. So we're being very careful. Add our egg yolk in a slow stream to our hot velouté. In much the same way that you make a crème anglaise, or a base for ice cream or custards. And you can see the color of that sauce, how it changed with the addition of the yellow egg. This one, we want to be careful not to bring it to a hard boil. Just heat it back up to sauce temperature. And we're going to finish it with a little bit of lemon juice. And of course, our favorite flavor enhancer, salt. So you can see we have three really beautiful, distinctively different sauces here. Finally, we're going to make a sauce albufera. This sauce was defined by Marie-Antoine Carême, who preceded Escoffier as one of the greatest chefs in France. And he named this after the Duke Albufera, who was a general in Napoleon's army. Again, beginning with the mother sauce of velouté. And adding a little bit of our veal stock to it. Our great friend Alain Ducasse, a great French chef, does a famous dish in his restaurant with albufera and black truffles. So we have our veal stock here. Just with a little bit of creme fraiche. beautiful. So here's our 4 sauces made from our chicken stock. Velouté, sauce supreme, Allemande, albufera. Luxurious, creamy, versatile, wonderful sauces.